Joining me now is White House Senior Counselor for Trade and Manufacturing, Peter Navarro. Peter, great to see you. Thank you so much for being here. Maria. And I want to kick it off with this government shutdown and the reopening here, because you had 6 House Democrats and 8 Senate Democrats vote with Republicans this finally, after 43 days, to reopen government. Can you imagine the majority of Democrats still wanted this to keep going? Thank you to these 8 Senate Democrat caucus members who voted with Republicans and the 6 House Democrats who voted with Republicans to get people's lives back in order. Your reaction?
Well, it's great news. It's a tragedy what the Democrats put us through. It's heroic that the Republicans stood up on the core issue that was pushed by the Democrats, health care for illegal aliens. I mean, it's like crazy stuff. But the damage has been done. I'm so happy to have Sean Duffy at Transportation. He's done a great job. The fact that the airports are going to flow quickly now means that all those folks wanted to get out of Florida, to get out of New York to head to Florida will have their route go easy. But Maria, what struck me about what President Trump said, it's amazing how he's always on the pulse of America. But the president understands the pain that Americans are going through now with inflation. It is unfortunate that Republicans aren't focusing like a laser beam on the economy, particularly on inflation. The cautionary tale here, Maria, is the 1982 midterm elections. Reagan came in, beautifully broke the back of inflation, but because of what the president describes as lags in the ability to inflate, for the inflation to go down, Reagan lost the House. We had gridlock. It was a bad scene. And so we were very mindful of the problem of lags. And let me give you the classic example here. It's like chickens versus cattle. We had an enormous egg and chicken crisis when we came in because of the great chicken slaughter by the Biden regime and other things like the Green War, which resulted in higher fertilizer, all of that, okay? Yeah. And we were able to solve that very, very quickly because the chicken cycle from egg to supermarket is 6 months, right? Yeah. But if you look at beef, the problem we're facing now is that's a 2.5 to 3 year cycle. So we're doing all sorts of great stuff to address the cattle and beef price crisis, but there's going to be lags. And what we have to do is explain really carefully about this Democrat con job. And let's be clear what it is. They want to blame Donald Trump for what is Biden legacy inflation. Yeah. And we have to be very clear about 2 things. One, go category by category: housing, food, transportation, healthcare, exactly what we're doing. And we also have to remind people that everything the Democrats do pushes inflation up, and that the only reason why we ever had the inflation crisis to begin with is because of the wild inflationary policies of the Biden regime. It wasn't just the fiscal stimulus, Maria. It wasn't just that. It was, the whole Green New Deal was opening the border to 20 million illegal aliens who then push pressure on the rent market. So we've got to make that case. And I'm telling you, between now and the midterms, this is all we need to talk about and should talk about. Well, and if we lose the House in 2026, we will see a replay of the first Trump term where Pelosi came in, and all we'll get is gratuitous subpoenas and nothing. And so we just have to do a very good job. And the president, in that little clip you showed, nailed it. And the House and Senate Republicans got to get on that train. Every advisor and a member of the cabinet has to get on that train. And this is what we talk about.
All right, and that's why the president focused on it with Laura Ingraham. It was a great interview. But look, President Trump's emergency tariff authority is now under consideration by the Supreme Court after last week's hearing. And I spoke with the president about it last month. I asked him specifically what happens should the decision not go his way. Here's what the president said. Watch. What is your backup plan should the Supreme Court decision go against you on the tariffs and the emergency?
Well, I'll have to figure something out. I don't want to even think about it. We're doing so well to think about it. You know, if that happened, we'd have to pay back money. So if anything would happen with that, that would mean they're allowed to use tariffs and we're not. If they took away, this is national security, if they took away tariffs, then they've taken away our national security.
Peter, the Committee for Responsible Budget writes tariffs have become a significant source of revenue for the government, with $195 billion in customs duties in the fiscal year that just ended, 150% more than last year. Raising new revenue like tariffs is especially important given the fiscal situation. That's Maya McGinnis at the Committee for Responsible Budget. What is the plan? What's the backup plan should the SCOTUS go against the president?
Well, let's talk about the oral arguments to begin with. I read very carefully those arguments, and I listened to the tape, and I'm very, very confident at this point that the Supreme Court has the full authority based on the law to approve the Trump tariffs. And there's a couple of issues there that are interesting. There is a tariff tax. That's kind of a big thing. And clearly, under the scope of IEEPA, the statute, it's not. So we win on that. And then the other big issue is whether tariffs are allowed under EPA, because they're not explicitly mentioned. But when you go through the law, the history dating back to the very founding of our republic, clearly President Trump any president should have the ability to use tariffs as a wide range of tools. I mean, there was the point made in the case that, wow, you can put an embargo on somebody, but you can't put a 1% tariff. That doesn't make any sense. It was called the donut hole, and it just doesn't make sense, because if you look at the things that the plaintiffs were arguing you could do, like quotas or embargoes, all of those things are vastly inferior as tools for the president to solve these economic emergencies than tariffs themselves. Now, with respect to the backup plan, I'm going to let the president take the lead on that. We never show our hands. There's no point in doing that.
Okay.
But certainly we've been thinking about that, and I can assure the American people that this president will defend American workers and American manufacturers. But the president is absolutely right on this. If that case is lost, it will basically throw us at the mercy of an international trading system that allows every other country in the world to charge us significantly higher tariffs and screw us. That can't stand. And if we can't get that defense codified in the law, then something's wrong here with respect to how we're moving forward.
All right. So, well, you made some great points.
Let's see what happens.
Yeah, well, you made some great points. We'll be watching that. We'll know hopefully by next month. But what is the issue around China? How should the U.S. deal with China? I mean, you've got FBI Director Kash Patel saying that China will crack down on fentanyl precursors, effectively stopping the flow of the lethal drug across the globe. But Beijing is straining last month's trade truce. It is stalling its promised purchases of 12 million tons of U.S. soybeans. Country also reportedly working to restrict the flow of rare earth minerals to any company with ties to the U.S. military. That has sparked a bipartisan investigation from the House Select China Committee into Beijing's dominance and manipulation of the rare earth market. I know that Scott Bessent is working on this China piece, but Peter, I mean, Beijing keeps showing us who they are. What is the state of this deal?
Well, this is trust but verify on steroids, Maria. I mean, you and I go a very long way back. Watching China, and we have ample experience with China not fulfilling the letter and spirit of deals. So we get that. But let me talk a little bit just about rare earths, because I think history will show that the communist Chinese did us a tremendous favor by weaponizing rare earths and their supply chain, and basically reminding everybody in this country and around the world that their mission is world domination, and they're going to use unrestricted warfare in the sense of things like weaponizing. And look, we used to be the king of rare earths. They took it from us using unfair trade practices. But on the rare earth issue, I want to assure people, and this is my pandemic experience, we're going to solve that problem. We're going to do it a lot quicker. We're going to do it through American innovation a lot quicker than people think. And we're moving through everything else in terms of our supply chain vulnerabilities. This has our full attention. We're going to get the job done because that's what we do in Trump land.
Yeah, and I know that, there have been acquisitions. They took a stake in MP at Mountain Pass, took a stake in Intel. So the president getting supply chains back here. Peter, great to catch up with you. Thank you, sir.
Nice to see you,
Peter Navarro
Maria.
joining us, and to you. We'll be right back. Stay with us.